Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to a random review. Today's random review comes from one of my favourite filmmakers, Yasuzo Masumura. It's A Wife Confesses from 1961, or A Wife's Confession, starring the amazing Wakao, who plays a character called Ayako, strangely enough. This is another unofficial DVD, so I'm now up to about 31% of Masumura films. I've seen 19 of them now, but unfortunately that's only about a third of his output. If you're not familiar, Wakao did like about 15 films in Masumura. Masumura, you know, a lot of his films now are available in Arrow, but there's still so many to be discovered. He's become one of my favourite Japanese directors in the last couple of years, when I've managed to track down more of his films. It also helps that Wakao is in them, because she's just absolutely brilliant, as she is in this. She gives another wonderful performance. And also, if you don't know, Masumura might have the all-time record for films with the word wife or wives in the title. He's got quite a few wife of. There's also A Wife Confesses. He's got 2 wives. The name of the film, not him personally. So this is from 1961. It's shot in wonderful black and white. I'm holding out that Radiance, once they get past their Kato Tai obsession, they'll get onto maybe Gosha or Masumura. So this is shot in gorgeous black and white. It's a very claustrophobic film. The shot composition is wonderfully tight, which is in juxtaposition to the kind of main story of the film. There's some familiar faces. Hiroshi Kawaguchi, you'll probably be familiar with. He was a youth star, and he was in several films. Itaro Izawa, you'll be familiar with. Hideo Takamatsu, you'll recognise his face. And Haruko Mabuchi, you'll certainly recognise her face, again from quite a lot of Masumura films. The script was written by Hideo Masato, who later on would co-write some later on Kurosawa films, Red Beard, Ran and Kagemusha, but he also did lots of other screenplays, or was part of many other screenplays. So the film, as you may guess, it's called A Wife's Confession. So it starts with Wakao being dropped off at a prosecutor's office with lots of reporters, because she's on trial for killing her husband. And there's a courtroom drama, but we obviously see large chunks of flashback. So she was married to this guy basically out of wanting to escape her life. She was a student at the time, but kind of struggling. So she kind of became a part of this man's life, and obviously agreed to marry him, but there was no real love there, if that even exists. And Hiroshi Kawaguchi's character is obviously a younger man than her husband, and he comes into the relationship to advise the husband, obviously Wakao, and Kawaguchi have things between them, as you'd expect. And on a climbing holiday, as the husband is a big climbing fan, there's an accident. The husband and Wakao fall, and Wakao, in an attempt to save herself, she ends up cutting the husband's rope, so he falls to his death, and Wakao is arrested for murder. Now obviously in Japanese culture, women go through a lot of stuff and are expected to go through a lot of stuff for the sake of their husbands. So the kind of Japanese thing to do would be for Wakao to fall to her death as well with her husband, because that's like the honourable thing to do. So the film is kind of about that as well. How women are expected to just fall to their deaths as well because their husbands falling to their death. But then in flashback, we see their relationship for what it was. We see her burgeoning relationship with the younger man who is engaged to another woman. But again, the question is, does he actually love either of them? He's the one that suggests to the husband that he gets a life insurance, which of course the press and the authorities are somewhat suspicious about. He's the one that suggests they get life insurance, and then the husband dies in an accident where Wakao cuts the climbing rope. So the climbing scene is done very well. I mean, Masumura, these films don't have huge budgets or whatever, but the climbing scene is done really effectively, which at the start of the film it does kind of open up the film, but then, as I said earlier, it becomes really claustrophobic when we're in apartments. Also, like Japanese houses or apartments are kind of generally claustrophobic anyway, but the themes of guilt and honour and duty, and the subject matter of what's going on in the case kind of just adds to that claustrophobia anyway. As I said, Wakao was fantastic as she kind of, sometimes you'll change your position on her, so to speak, as far as what you see unfolding. Kawaguchi's character, you will have your opinion on him as well. Is he just an innocent in all of this, or is he like subconsciously more a part of it than we're first made out to think? Again, as I said, we see the event at the start of the film, so it's not as if it's one of those films, it's a mystery and then we see the reveal of what actually happened on the mountain at the end. It's not that sort of film. It's more psychological. As I said, it's more about guilt, survivor's guilt, manipulation, your relationship to other people that honour or dishonour you feel to certain people, which obviously is a fairly unique, not unique, but maybe more amplified feeling in Japan and Japanese society, certainly in 1961. As I said, this deserves, just like lots of unreleased Masumura films, it deserves a Blu-ray, a wider audience, because the cinematography is really good. As I said, the shot composition is really on point for such a tight, closed down, claustrophobic story. Yeah, it's another wonderful Masumura film. Yes, I'm biased, and yes, I'm certainly biased to Wakao, but this is another wonderful performance by her, and everybody does a good job. So yes, it's a courtroom drama, but it's not really, there's no great kind of revelations in the courtroom scenes like so many courtroom dramas are. There's no surprise witness like there is in most courtroom dramas, or the rug being pulled out from under somebody, or somebody tripping over their words and accidentally revealing a huge revelation. It's more of the stuff that's outside the courtroom drama, so don't come into it thinking it's going to be My Cousin Vinny. Yeah, it's just another wonderful, elegant Masumura film that deserves to be seen by more people. And as I said, I'm now up to 19 Masumura, so I'm chipping away. As I said, I'm only about a third of the way through his filmography, and there hasn't been a dud yet. I said before in one of the Arrow releases, I can't remember whether it was Blind Beast or maybe Red Angel, but there's a piece by a Japanese film expert who says he's seen all the Masumuras, and there is a kind of purple patch in the stuff at the beginning of his career and the end of his career isn't that good. But I haven't seen a dud yet. But as I said, obviously I'm biased. So thanks so much for watching this random review. Please let me know if you have seen A Wife Confesses or A Wife's Confession, and what you think of it. And hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.